This Titan is like a god.
So the big takeaway from the trailer of Legacy of Monsters Season 2 is that before Godzilla and King Kong return to theaters for that massive 2027 Supernova event, the two alphas will unite on the small screen, even if they do it only to defeat a common enemy. Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2 picks up right where Season 1 ended, with Cate Randa, Keiko, and May barely escaping Axis Mundi. The new season follows them as they dig deeper into Skull Island's past and the secrets of Monarch itself. But the real issue is the new bioluminescent Titan, currently called Titan X. Oh, and Kurt Russell is also back, but given that he faced and lived through the events of Outpost 31 and Little China, he's hard to kill and was bound to return. But he's not what we're here to talk about. In this video, I'll explore for you the 13 insane things you might have missed about the new Titan from Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2. So without further ado, let's begin. Number 1. Titan X is not just a monster, it's a living cataclysm. One thing that's crystal clear to me is that Legendary is simply not treating Titan X as just another Titan that smashes buildings, kills people, and wants destruction. The official synopsis describes this new monster as a cataclysm. You could say that this guy is a large-scale and violent event that would disturb the natural order of our world. If the trailers are to be believed... Wait, what am I even saying? I mean, they should be believed! So yeah, according to the trailers, this guy came to the surface from Axis Mundi, and I think we should quickly check out what exactly Axis Mundi is in the historical sense, as well as in terms of the monsterverse. So historically, Axis Mundi, or World Axis, was supposed to be the mythical vertical center that basically connected heaven, earth, and the underworld. Now, Monarch took the same concept and applied it to define a whole new geographical space that's between the hollow earth and our surface. So, it's basically a world between two worlds, a place that's so much affected by the gravitational pull of Earth and hollow Earth that time itself may move differently, and a few days spent in Axis Mundi may actually be decades on Earth's surface. When there's a certain surge in gamma radiation, mostly due to the presence of Titans, Axis Mundi's surface tears to create a rift or vortex, through which a Titan reaches Earth or goes back to hollow Earth. And it seemed to be that Titan X is the biggest and baddest Titan of Axis Mundi. You see, just like Kong rules hollow Earth, and Godzilla is the king of monsters on Earth, Titan X may also be an alpha. And whenever such a beast surfaces on Earth, it changes the way our flora and fauna function. Now, Titan X has been described as a being that's stronger and bigger than both Godzilla and Kong, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Titan X is actually a bad guy. I have theories, but more on that later. Number 2. Godzilla and Kong met before their first movie to fight Titan X. Now, I know many of the breakdowns and subreddits are going crazy about how the second season of Legacy of Monsters fits into the gaps left behind by the live-action movies, but I sincerely believe that this season of the show is not set around 2017. See, Skull Island takes place in 1973. Godzilla's first MonsterVerse movie is set in 2014. Legacy of Monsters' first season starts in 2015 and ends in 2017. And 2 years later, we get King of Monsters and King Ghidorah Awakened. 5 years later in 2024, we got Godzilla vs. Kong, and then came Godzilla x Kong, the events which took place in the year 2027. It's clear that the second season is set after 2017, but how much later? Well, firstly, we must remember that one day in Axis Mundi is like 1 year on Earth, and Lee Shaw is trapped there, while Season 1 tried to tell us that he died. But we know that someone who has been R.J. McCready and Jack Burton and Snake Plissken simply cannot die that easy, right? And Mr. Russell is back in the trailer of Season 2. Of course, someone went down to Axis Mundi to save him, but making the prep takes time. Finding him down there takes more time. Even if they took 3 days to prepare, find, and bring back Lee Shaw, it's already 2020. This means that King Ghidorah is dead, and the world would face a monster battle between Kong and Big G a few years later. Now, in the movie, these two titans were likely super angry with each other from the very beginning. And Godzilla vs. Kong's writers tried to tell us that it was because both of them were alphas, but I think this is what this second season will retcon. It will show us how the two alphas met a few years before their real battle to fight Titan X. Maybe not to kill it, but to send it back where it came from. I think Kong, being the more humane one of the two, would try to spare Titan X's life, if Kong was sure that the Titan would not return. But Godzilla would not feel so good about it, and that's how their enmity would take center stage. Again, this is just a theory, and as always, I'm open to constructive criticism. You know where to comment. Number 3. Bioluminescent Deep Sea Origin. Now, not all Titans in the MonsterVerse show bioluminescence. The select few are Rodan, King Ghidorah, Mothra, and Godzilla. At least these are the ones that change their colors depending on their mood. I'm sure you remember how Mothra went from red to blue after her birth, after calming down from Madison and her mother activating the Orca. Likewise, even Godzilla changed his bioluminescence after absorbing the essence of Tiamat, as well as a solar-infused radiation pocket in the Arctic Ocean. Given these examples, it's not entirely difficult to believe that Titan X's bioluminescence comes from some sort of abyssal zone within Axis Mundi, or maybe even from an altogether different ecosystem belonging to a different Titan, albeit within Axis Mundi. We know it well that Titans often use their bioluminescence to depict various emotional or psychological states. For example, Mothra turns reddish or pinkish when she feels threatened, or when she's in attack mode, and she turns bright fluorescent blue when she's calm and docile. In fact, even in the trailer for Legacy of Monsters Season 2, at about 63 seconds, you'll notice that Titan X is glowing blue and white, while it's facing Cate Randa, as if it's trying to understand Cate, or maybe, just maybe, Cate also has some sort of connection with Titans. If you remember, there was a scene in Season 1 of the TV series where it seemed like she was forming a bond with Godzilla. Additionally, the similarities between the bioluminescence of Mothra and Titan X tells me that this guy or gal might not be entirely evil. Maybe Titan X is just trying to survive in a world new to it. I mean, the trailer also suggests that the creature was unleashed, which is simply a more dramatic word for awoken. Same is the case with Monster Zero, aka King Ghidorah, but that guy never shone blue and never seemed calm. But hey, this is just one man's humble opinion. What do you think? Number 4. Tentacles lined with serrated barbs on a hybrid reptilian and cephalopod body similar to the Kraken. Did anyone watch the 2023 animated series Skull Island based in the MonsterVerse? Well, the main villain there was Kraken, the aquatic titan with an octopus head and a humanoid torso. Exactly 20 appendages, and like 4 large tentacles that pretty much served as its legs. Full of Craftian vibes, to be honest. Now, these leg-like tentacles had hooked barbs near their end, and so is the case with Titan X. Look here. So the guy is about to become paste along with his vessel because Titan X comes from underneath him, wraps the entire boat in its massive tentacles, and just crushes the whole thing like you'd crush an ice cream cone. But the barbed tentacles are hard to miss. I'm telling you, a lot of Titan X's features resemble other Titans, like Biolante, and I'll come back to that in just a bit. Additionally, because of these barbs that can easily constrict like a giant snake and slice like fine blades, Titan X can turn them into lacerating weapons against any rival Titan's body. And if you think about it, Kong is in more danger from these barbs than Godzilla. Either way, it's clear to me that Titan X's entire body is loaded with all sorts of offensive and defensive weapons, and Big G and King Kong have their work cut out for them. Under no circumstances can they take this guy lightly. Number 5. Dorsal plates that glow magenta when threatened. Now folks, I already discussed a part of this while I was discussing Titan X's bioluminescence, so I won't be repeating stuff, but what I didn't mention earlier is that much like Godzilla and his dorsal spines, it's possible Titan X also uses some charge-based attacks. I mean, we've seen Big G charging up like a raging bull before landing its more severe blows like the atomic breath, and I firmly believe that Titan X's magenta hue is not simply an intimidation display, there's more to it than meets the eye. Number 6. Likely tied to Axis Mundi's Ion Dragon. Now, to understand this better, we must go back to Legacy of Monsters Season 1, Episode 10, and its ending. Here, 3 of our girls, Cate, her grandmother Keiko, and friend May, are stuck in Axis Mundi. Oh, and if you're thinking of how these guys managed not to get smashed because of the extreme gravitational anomaly, as opposed to humans requiring HEAVs in the movies, well, Axis Mundi is basically like part of Earth and parts of Hollow Earth smashed together, so it's possible to get to this world between worlds without dying. Anyway, the point is, the 3 women were stuck with the older Li Sha, and in order to escape the place, they did things that invited the Ion Dragon to their location. In the trailer, Cate admits that Titan X has come to town only because she pressed the button. So yeah, the reason why they went to Axis Mundi in the first place was primarily because of Cate. But she was well-intentioned. Either way, Titan X is definitely related to the Ion Dragon, maybe in the same fashion as Godzilla is related to other smaller titans on Earth. As I mentioned earlier, I believe that Titan X rules Axis Mundi and maintains the balance there, just as Godzilla and Kong do the same for Earth and Hollow Earth respectively. Number 7. Multiple massive tentacles equals Biolante-style callback. As I was telling you earlier, there's some resemblance between Titan X and Biolante, who is possibly the saddest backstory of all kaiju. For the uninitiated, Biolante is not an original titan or monster. She was created by a father who lost his daughter, so he spliced the DNA of his daughter, the DNA of a rose, and that of Godzilla himself. In the end, the creature the world got was a confused monster who was still trying to find her place in the food chain. In the comics and the movies, she has served both as a villain and as an anti-hero, with news that she might be the new villain in -0. Much like Titan X, Biolante has several massive tentacles, but what's more interesting is that the king of monsters, King Ghidorah, takes Godzilla up above the world so high, almost like a diamond in the sky before dropping him down. While Big G was still up there, he'd been heavily injured and was battered and left bleeding. Now, it's almost been confirmed that Godzilla x Kong Supernova will actually have Space Godzilla as the villain, and this guy, much like Biolante, also came into existence because of Godzilla's DNA. If this is true, then -0 and Supernova might have more in common than we previously imagined. Number 8. Emerges near a mythical coastal village. The Season 2 synopses mention a remote coastal village where a mythical titan rises from the sea, which strongly implies Titan X has been worshipped or feared in local legends for generations. And honestly, I'm not at all surprised at this. I mean, throughout the history of human evolution, titans have been revered and feared, with several of them worshipped. Furthermore, Cate in the trailer mentions that Titan X is like a god that the sea creatures worship. But its emergence near a human village suggests that Titan X might be something of a deity to humans as well. Maybe the second season of Legacy of Monsters treats us with a whole new tribe of people, and if you think about it, the relationship that the Iwi people share with the Titans like Kong and Mothra further illuminates this. But that's not all. Titans have always occupied that strange space in human memory where fear and worship walk side by side. Ghidorah's arrival on Earth traces back to the era when early humans first came into existence. Apparently sometime after the original feud between Titanus Gojira and Titanus Kong had already taken root. What fascinates me is how multiple mythologies seem to echo his presence. The Greek Hydra, the Aboriginal rainbow serpent, even the Taza people of Highland New Guinea remember a being called Mandandare Akenoba, and all of them feel like fragmented memories of the same three-headed terror. And yet, written records about Ghidorah remain scarce, almost as if ancient people deliberately avoided preserving his name, choosing silence over remembrance. Then you look at Mothra. Instead of dread, there's reverence. From erased Nazca lines to the hidden temple of the moth, her name threads through secret mythologies like a luminous whisper. Folklore describes a radiant winged guardian, an angel of clouds whose light could split the sky itself. Spirit tablets found in the mountain jungles of Yunnan depict a giant winged alpha of the Lepidoptera order, with humans carved in postures of devotion. Unlike Ghidorah, Mothra appears to be woven in the natural order as a benevolent presence, a queen of the monsters figure who inspired protection rather than terror. Together, these titans reveal how humanity once looked at colossal forces and responded with both trembling fear and sacred admiration. Number 9. Possible connection to Skull Island's ecosystem. Now, we know for sure that Titan X originated from Axis Mundi, but much of the action in the trailers takes place on Skull Island. In fact, in the trailer, the first 3 scenes, that of Kong, Godzilla, and the sea vessel, take place in or around Skull Island. Later on, Titan X reaches Skull Island, where it comes face to face with our band of heroes. This only tells me that Skull Island is tightly tied to Titan X. We know that the Monster Island has an opening to the Hollow Earth, and it won't be a stretch to say that Axis Mundi and Earth are connected with each other through Skull Island. And if I'm being honest, the Monster Island has been rather underutilized in the Monsterverse, if you ignore the first movie. However, the connections have always been there. Bill Randa also never returned from his trip there, and Keiko was shattered to hear about it. If anything, the place has a lot of wonders that we're unaware of, and Legacy of Monsters is gonna fix that for us.
This titan is like a god.
Number 10. Unleashed, not just discovered. Monarch's own materials stress that Titan X was unleashed rather than passively discovered, implying human interference like Axis Mundi ops, energy experiments, etc. directly led to the creature rising from the deep. What this essentially signals to is the fear and danger quotient that Titan X represents, and just how seriously humans, as well as other titans like Big G and Kong, must take Titan X. The trailer plainly says that he's bigger and more powerful than either of the alphas, and if, by the end of the second season, they get rid of the Titan X threat, it must happen only through the combined efforts of humans and 2 alphas. Once again, I would like to repeat that I don't believe Titan X is inherently evil, it's just been disturbed, thanks to human meddling. It's like poking a bear, you know? And Titan X is just here to say,
take my word for it when I tell you that I'm the bear.
We should have been more careful about what we do in places like Axis Mundi, Skull Island, and the Hollow Earth. And if not, we get monsters who look like they ate steroid whales for breakfast. Number 11. Jaw and snout horns like a prehistoric beast. Let's be honest, every kaiju that we see in the Monsterverse movies, TV shows, comics, as well as animated shows is a result of the human imagination, which often gets inspired from animals, both existing and extinct. A brief close-up in the trailer, especially when it rises from the water to meet Cate, shows Titan X jaws and horn-like protrusions on its snout, resembling a cross between a Diceratotherium and a deep-sea predator, which gives the monster both mammalian and reptilian features. It looks like an absolute beauty, albeit not by socially accepted standards, and that's probably what MonsterVerse wants to defy through Titan X. Okay, that's a stretch, I agree. Ignore that, but moving on. Number 12. Potential energy draining or bioelectric gimmick. The glowing, almost electric blue aura around its body in the teaser hints at a possible bioelectric or energy siphoning ability, which could explain why Monarch calls it a cataclysm. In fact, if you look closely here, you'll notice that around Godzilla there's no electricity, and the only light that comes from it is the fires around him. Now, it's entirely possible that Godzilla caused the fire, but it's also possible that it was, in fact, Titan X, who did this by draining all electrical energy from the place. If Titan X really can absorb electricity, killing it would prove super difficult for both Godzilla and Kong, because no matter how much atomic breath or punches you land on Titan X, it will simply absorb it and become more powerful still, kinda like Black Panther's suit. Number 13. Built to redefine the MonsterVerse power scale. Finally, by pitting Titan X against both Big G and Kong, the showrunners are clearly using it as a new apex threat level, potentially reshaping how we think about Titan hierarchy in the MonsterVerse. We've always considered Godzilla to be the most powerful of the Titans, and even in Godzilla vs. Kong, the giant lizard beats the giant ape's ass, and then some. Additionally, at the end of King of Monsters, Titans bowed down to Godzilla, essentially naming him their king. So for all intents and purposes, Godzilla was the ultimate Titan. Until now. Now we have a new kid around the block, someone who can give Godzilla a run for his money. This equation could be something like the equation that the Megalodon and the T-Rex share in the Jurassic Park franchise. You see, the Meg is clearly the more powerful one and larger than the T-Rex, but it does not do well on land, and Godzilla rules the land. So I'm assuming that a status quo would be set in Legacy of Monsters Season 2, and all parties will go home peacefully after 10 episodes. Legacy of Monsters Season 2 upped the scale. So yeah, the trailer does more than tease destruction. It shows Skull Island as a major location again, and that matters. We even glimpse the mass grave from Kong Skull Island, the one filled with skull crawlers, which hints that those monsters might return. There's also a moment where someone nearly gets pulled into the trees by something that resembles the Mother Longlegs creature, another callback that ties the series closer to film lore. Another key detail is that Titan X appears in two timelines, that is, the present day and the 1950s era, with Wyatt Russell's Lee Shaw. The creature still lacks a confirmed identity, yet its octopus-like design and ocean god description push theories toward Nakika, especially since characters describe it as a ruler over sea life. What really caught my attention though is the suggestion that Titan X clashes with Kong on Skull Island at some point. Since the Titan emerges from Axis Mundi and the rift there serves as the group's exit back to the main world, what we do not know is whether the fight happens early or near the end. And then comes the biggest tease. Godzilla and Kong could be the first official partnership in the MonsterVerse timeline, since Season 2 is set after 2017, while Godzilla x Kong takes place in 2024. Considering how their earlier encounters focused on proving who ruled the monster hierarchy, this alliance suggests a larger threat, and, very likely, even wider devastation. That was all in this one, folks, and if you liked the video, please consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Stay safe, and have a good one.